Sup, Scopers? This is Pimpin' Docs, and this is me 12 tabling, multi table sit and goes on full tilt poker. This video is pretty much starting from the middle stages of these because I had to fire them up to get 12 of them going at the same time. The buy-ins range anywhere from $24, 26 with the fee, and we got the $52 knockout 90-man tournaments, and we also have some $75 45 player tournaments. I'm going to try to give as much commentary on the hands as I can as we go. Before I start a session with uh, a long session, I like to grab myself a glass of tea and a snack for while I'm grinding, and it helps keep my energy up when I'm grinding and focus more at the table. So if you're not doing that, that's something that you might want to give a shot. And when you are playing these multi-table in different types of tournaments like this, for example, in the 90 mans, the knockouts, you have to pay attention to the short stacks and the bounties, um, which I try to do as best as I can. Here I raised with King Jack 2.5x from late position, and it looks like the big blind called. I hit top pair, so I'm going to continuation bet 350 into the pot of 550. My opponent appears to be a loose player, playing 42% of hands, so it's not surprising to see him call out of the big blind there. He did fold to my continuation bet. Gonna raise on the button with ace-6 offsuit. And I will do it with king-7 suited as well. Now, as I get knocked out of some of these tournaments, or I finish, or I win it, or whatever, the it'll be easier to pay attention to the actual hands as the tables wind down. So this video is probably going to be over an hour long, so you'll get definitely get your full money's worth. Ton of action, 12 tables. It's hard to pay attention at first if you don't 12 table, but if you do, it should be no problem. Here I'm going to raise with the connected hand. Alright, with pocket kings, I'm going to raise it up. My opponent 4x'd, so it looks like he has a pretty strong hand. So I definitely want to keep him in. I'm isolating a limper with king queen suited there. My opponent, I don't have enough information on his steal attempts here, so I'm going to give him credit and fold the ace high there. And here I'll limp after a limper with pocket sixes. Alright, we flop an open ender. A loose player leads into us, so I'm going to raise. Alright, and here with the pocket kings, I want to again keep him in, so I'm going to bet kind of small. Hopefully he'll shove over my bet. And with pocket sixes, everyone checked to me, so I'm going to put out a bet of 250. Queen 10, I'll attempt to steal the blinds here in late position again. My opponent called on the flop, and now an ace of hearts comes. This is a pretty gross situation. Here I'm just going to check. I need to think about the kings. I don't really see him bluffing here. Um, yeah, I think he's got it. I can't imagine him bluffing there. And here I do have the 6 of spades. I'm going to go ahead and call. I'll probably beat, but it is a lot of times people bluff them type of boards as well if no one is showing any interest. So I was looking to bluff catch there. Unfortunately, he had it. Alright, I've hit my ace with ace queen, and I'm just gonna continuation bet as usual. 200 into a pot of 325, roughly 2/3. My opponent appears to be a tight player, so he may have a pocket pair here like sevens or eights, and he did get disconnected, but you know, it's a tough spot if you have pocket eights there. So if that is the case, I can understand why he's thinking. Here with ace jack, I'm just going to call because I have position on my opponent. And if I 3-bet, I force out all the ace hands that I have dominated. So I would rather keep those hands in. So I just call there. Alright, I did shove the king 10 blind on blind after the limper. Here I pick up a gut shot. You know, my opponent isn't betting very strong, and it looks like a weaker type player, so I'm going to go ahead and raise it. Just assuming that the bet size means weakness. I could be wrong, but we'll see. Alright, I got pocket queens and a king flops. I'm just going to go ahead and bet it like I would normally. Alright, my opponent did fold. When I had the ace jack hand. And I very well could have had the best hand there with ace high. But to me, it feels like I was bluffing the player out. Oops, you can see that the I'm back button appeared on one of my tables. That's one of the things when you're multi-tabling and grinding, you got to pay attention that you don't time out on any tables. Alright, here I have an open-ender. I don't really have many clean outs though, meaning any club or spade of that completes my draw will also complete a flush draw, so I actually only have 4 clean outs there, so it's not even worth it for me to call. Alright, and here with pocket nines we have a loose player who limped in early position. I'm going to go ahead and make a raise up to 300, charge him to see a flop with his weaker hands. Alright, and this is a pretty good flop for pocket nines unless he has a jack, obviously. So at this point there's nothing for me to be worried about, so I'm just going to go ahead and continuation bet it. Alright, and he snap folded, so obviously he had a speculative type hand that he wanted to see a flop with. Alright, and here with ace king, I'm going to go ahead and isolate and push all in on the player who just called. And with pair nines here in the small blind, I will just call an early position raise. And it's a good flop for pair nines. My opponent does like to c-bet though, so I'm going to check to him because he will bluff at this board quite often. Alright, and again, this is a good board for pocket nines, so I'm just going to go ahead and bet it. Here, I am going to go ahead and raise. I'm going to make it 950. If I just call his flop continuation bet there with the nines, and an ace or king comes on the turn, and I bet into him and he raises me, I'm in a very difficult spot. So that's why I elected just to go ahead and check raise the flop there. And if he plays back at me, then I'm in a difficult situation, but I have more of an idea of what his hand is. It's more likely to be a pair in his hand as well. And then I just have to figure out if I believe it's higher than nines or not. Luckily that didn't happen, so I don't have to go there. Alright, pocket kings here in early position. I'll make 2.5x raise to 250 chips. With a min raise under the gun and a call, 100 chips here now is a pretty decent percentage of my stack, so I'm just going to fold it. Alright, and with king queen, again a loose limper from early position, I'm going to go ahead and raise it up. Try and get it heads up, or make them both fold is fine with me as well. Alright, I'm going to raise with pocket sevens here. Alright, the ace flops on when I have pocket kings. I'm still just going to go ahead and bet it and see what my opponent does. It will give me more information on my hand. Here I raised with king queen, so this is a decent flop for me. I'm going to bet half the pot and see what happens. Alright, I got raised. It's only 250 more to call, so I'm going to go ahead and call because the odds are so good. Here I'm just going to check behind with the king queen because the pot is getting quite large. Alright, so with pocket sevens here, my opponent likely has a pair. He could have ace king and be bluffing here, but with the pot size bet, I'm just going to give it up. Alright, and here we're in a very tough spot now because we've made two pair. However, there's a one card straight. He is betting half pot. I think I have to call here. He did get lucky on the river. So, looking back at this hand, I think checking through on the turn was fine. I don't regret it. The pot was 3,000. We had like 3,000 left in our stack, so in looking at what he had, he only had 3 outs. So with 3 outs and only one card to come, I like the pot control line there. Unfortunately, the out came, and that happens. So here with the min raise on the button, he's probably just trying to get control of the hand. So I'm just going to go ahead and jam it pre-flop on him. I also negate his positional advantage by doing that as well, because there's no other decisions left to be made in the hand. I can just go ahead and get rid of the positional factor there. Alright, and I did win the hand. Coin flip against tens. Alright, I should have c-bet this flop, but because I was wanted on so many tables, I missed that opportunity. Alright, here I'm being 3-bet over half this guy's stack. King Queen's going to be behind his range, so I'm going to fold. Alright, here 775. You know, I'm just going to go ahead and call here because I will have only 7 big blinds left. And I'll take the flush draw. And I did get the flush, so that one worked out for me. Alright, so we're still in all 12 tables. We got a decent stack on a couple tables. And it's always good to go through and check every once in a while because there was an I'm back. This guy probably thinks I was gone, so I'm going to go ahead and raise. Alright, well, maybe he wasn't paying attention to that, and he really did have a hand, so I have to fold there, obviously. Okay, here we have a chance to get a knockout bounty. The problem is this guy is shoving after a limper, so he's probably got a little better average hand than he normally would. A7 I don't think is ahead of his range, so I'm going to fold it. And here I'll go ahead and raise King 10 suited. Alright, pocket aces on the button. I'll make a standard raise. Alright, I've hit top pair. Gonna see bet 350 into the 550 pot. And I'm going to do the same thing on this board. 200 into a 300 pot. Alright, my pocket aces, I only have 1,000, so I'm just shoving here for 400 more. My opponent called my c-bet, so I'm going to check. And I have this guy in bad shape, so that one held up. Alright, my opponent checked on the turn, which indicates to me that he has a hand he wants to get to showdown with, which beats my hand, so I don't think I'm going to be able to bluff him out here, so I'm just going to check it down and give up. And he did have a pair, so I don't think I would have been able to get him off there. Okay, I was just checking to see if there's any more I'm backs that crept in there. Alright, 10-7 offsuit. I have a very short stack compared to the blind, so I'm just going to shove it. Ace Jack here. This guy is pretty loose aggressive, so I am going to call on the button. Alright, with Ace Queen here and a raise in front, I don't like the raise. Ace Queen I think is right in about the middle of his range, so I don't think I'm far ahead, but I'm short stacked though, so I'm just going to push it in again. This guy checks this flop, which is a good flop to bet, so I'm going to check behind because a lot of times good players will do that when they actually do have a hand. Alright, so we both had Ace Queen, which again I said was right in about the middle of his range, so that was right on. Here with King 4 suited, this guy's going to be shoving basically any two cards, so this is going to be ahead of his range, so I'm going to call. And here I'm going to fold to the delayed c-bet. And here I'm going to c-bet 600 into an 1100 pot. Alright, we've hit middle pair here. Just completing from the small blind. I'm going to go ahead and lead out for a 350 into a 600 pot. Alright, we get check raised here with jacks. I'm definitely going to call. And he just has overs, which is not what I wanted to see, but we got knocked out. No biggie. Alright, so on this next table we have pocket nines in late position, and one player is all in, as you can see, and that's a bounty available. So I did want to raise to try and isolate it there, as well as the fact that I have pocket nines, which is a strong hand. And our opponent leads right into us, and we definitely want to get the money in here with a set, and I think he's going to be overprotective because he wants that bounty. So I'm going to make a small raise to 2,000, and I think he's definitely going to stick around at least, if not shove himself. So a 10 comes. I have a feeling he probably has a 10 in his hand, with the Jack 10 being impossible or a flush draw. So now that he has a pair with a draw, here with Ace Queen, I'm going to shove. We have 3,500 left. The pot is way more than that. I'm just going to shove it all in and expect to get called quite often. He does have King Jack. He called with a gut shot, so pretty bad play in my opinion. Calling the raise, betting it out is okay, um, but calling my raise with it, with just the gut shot and the overcard, is just a bad play. Nothing else no other way to describe it. But he did hit it, and I did not improve to the full house on the rivers, so we're out of that one. Um, so here we raise pre-flop, and an ace-high flop comes, so I'm going to go ahead and continuation bet 400 into the 600 pot. And he does fold, so we take it down. Jack 10 suited, sometimes I'll raise this in early position, but just to mix up my play, I'll raise suited connectors from early position occasionally. Um, and that's just to keep the regulars off balance so that they can never be sure totally um, what hand you have. Um, I'm just I'm gonna raise to 800 here with Ace Queen. It's kind of a tough spot because we only have 2,400 chips, so we're risking a third of them pre-flop with a hand that only hits a flop a third of the time, which you could argue for just shoving there, but then you're shoving quite a bit just to win the chips in the pot, so you could go either way on that one. But with this flop, I'm definitely just going to c-bet, and I'm just going to shove it all in. I expect to have the best hand quite often. And if not, if he does have a pair, I'm going to have overcards quite often as well. So, and I also have all the fold equity when he folds all the garbage hands that he called with pre-flop, which turns out to be the case here. Some of you guys have been asking me about my HUD setup. My HUD setup has a few stats on them that are quite useful. The first one in blue is the number of hands I've played with my opponent. The green stat is VPIP. The red stat is pre-flop raise. And the white stat is 3-bet percentage. And the yellow is attempt to steal. With ace 10 here, I am going to go ahead and raise it. It's kind of have to get through a lot of players, but it's good enough to go ahead and go for it. The FS stat, pinkish, is fold to steal. And the bottom line is c-bet and fold to c-bet percentage. Um, some of you have wanted my actual colors and everything the exact same HUD setup, and I can email that to you if you would like that. It's $3 to purchase that, and if you're interested, just post it in one of the forums that I participate in regularly, and I will contact you and email that to you. So here with pocket fours, I attempted to steal the blinds. If I call here, I'm basically hoping for a coin flip, because he's going to have overcards quite often and also have pairs. the other percentage of the time. So I'm actually just going to fold here. With ace jack, a limper, I have about 11 big blinds. I'm just going to shove it all in. Look to take down the blinds and the limp. Here I c-bet, I believe, and got called. Alright, well, I got knocked out of one. We'll go back to that. So I'm just going to check behind. Okay, well, I got it in with nines and hit a set and lost that one. Um, I'm just going to fold here. With him calling on the flop, I think he's going to have a pair there almost always. There was not many draws, so I'm going to give him credit on that one. Alright, we have pocket tens and we have 13 and a half big blinds, or almost 14. Um, I could shove, but that's quite a bit to shove again, so I am going to make a normal raise. Here with ace 9, I could shove there also, but again, it's a pretty big amount to shove. And the hands he's calling me with are going to be ace 10 and higher a lot of the time, so I just elected to fold there. Here I'm going to, my opponent folds to c-bets quite often, so I am going to take a stab at it. His fold to c-bet percentage was 83%, so he did go ahead and fold. It's kind of a tough spot because if you put out a c-bet there of 750, it only leaves me with a stack of 1500. So it's quite a risk to put out the c-bet there when he is going to be calling with a lot of ace, with a lot of hands that have an ace in it. Here we're pretty close to 11 big blinds, 12, 11, 12 area, so I'm just going to shove pre-flop, small blind on big blind with king 10. Here I'm going to make a standard raise because I have more than the 12 big blinds. Alright, the blinds just went up. So I have 10 big blinds now. And king 9 offsuit, I think is going to be pretty close. I think I'm going to go ahead and shove it. If it's pretty close, I would prefer to be the aggressor and attempting to steal the blinds, and because they are such a huge percentage of your stack at this point, picking up 600 chips is a huge increase to your stack, obviously. Here I raised the min bet. When people min bet on the flop, they're a lot of times it's just a bluff. He did call, so I'm gonna again go for the pot control line and check it on the turn. Here with ace king, I'm going to isolate all in, the player who is already all in, and I'm just gonna go to showdown with this and hope it's good. All right, it is good. In here with pocket queens, this guy has a huge percentage of his stack committed, so I'm just going to shove it in. Alright, I'm just going to call here from the small blind with ace jack. Alright, let's see. That guy had a 5 also. We had the better kicker. Alright, we have a gutter and overcards here. There's a lot of draws possible though, so I'm going to just check it. Alright, we did get it in against jacks. and it did hold up, so that's always nice. All right, one of the most interesting cards hits on the turn for us. I can't call any significant bet here because top pair is not going to be good on this type of board hardly ever. So um, you'll definitely want to just be folding top pair here the majority of the time to any significant action. All right, it does check through, which um, makes me think I probably have the best hand here, but my opponents might bluff at it. If I check, and I can use it as a bluff catcher. Neither one of them has shown any real strength in the hand, so I'm not sure they would call a bet, but they might bluff at it. And they could have rivered trip sevens there as well, so if I bet, they would definitely raise there, so I'm saving myself some chips as well if they rivered trip sevens. Alright, they didn't go for the bait that time, so no biggie. Alright, here we have a person raising in late position. He doesn't attempt to steal the blinds very often, but with ace king suited out of position, I'm just going to go ahead and jam it in on him. Alright, pocket jacks. I'm just going to put this guy with 2,000 chips left all in. And if this guy wants to call that big of a bet as well, he can go ahead and do that. Alright, so we took that one down. Here with pocket aces, we have a guy who attempts to steal quite often, 78% of the time. I'll mix up my play here. Here I'm just going to call, and I'm just going to put this person all in with pocket eights, and with ace queen suited here. My opponent makes a 3.5 times raise. I am going to jam it in. It's going to be far ahead of his range there. Alright, so one benefit of calling is you will get people who try to squeeze you out, and that's exactly what happened here. He did have a pair of tens, but obviously we're happy to get it in. Alright, so we got a decent stack on this table now as well. So we're at a final table. This is a $75 one as well. We got an 8,000 stack here. We got a 5,000 stack. So it looks like we're going to have some good finishes to some of these tournaments. I'm going to go ahead and shove here because I'm short stacked with King Jack. For the min raise with Jack 10 here, I'm going to go ahead and call. He's laying me pretty good odds to go ahead and call with a hand that can flop pretty well. That's not a very good flop for my hand, so I'm just going to check fold. Alright, with King 2, I've got a little less than 10 big blinds, so I'm going to go ahead and shove it. And with Kings here, again, I'm just going to go ahead and shove because it's about 3 times the size of my opponent's raise. I've played 41 hands with this guy, and this is the first time he has a 3-bet, so I'm going to go ahead and give him credit here as being a pretty tight 3-better. So pocket nines is a huge hand, 5-handed, but he's the one who could bust me, and his 3-bet percentage is extremely low. So in that situation, I opted to take the safe route. Alright, you can see on this last hand, I attempted to steal with 5-7 suited on the button there. It's important to steal the blinds even before you get to the money. Alright, my opponent has enough chips to fold here, which is important. And 9-10 plays well against his like ace king calling range, ace x, whatever, king x, whatever. So I'm just going to shove it in on him. Alright, he does call with sevens. And again, that 9-10 plays well against the small pairs as well. So he did win the coin flip, but with all the fold equity that I had and the times that I will win the showdown, I think it's a profitable play there. Ace 6 offsuit here, I'm going to go ahead and let go. Alright, an early position raise with 9-8 is clearly a fold. Alright, so we're getting kind of short stacked in this one. We got 9 big blinds. So our raise size at this point on this tournament is going to be all in or fold. And same thing here. We have 8 big blinds. Even though we have pocket kings and we want action, our raise size is all in. King 10 offsuit. Again, we're in a similar situation. I'm going to let it go though, because King 10 when called will be dominated quite often. Here with pocket aces, I'm going to go ahead and raise it up with the small blind limping in. Alright, we have a steal attempt from the button. We have ace 10 offsuit. I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet. Well, you know what? I'm just going to fold it. Here with ace 10 suited, I'm going to jam with a short stack. In here with ace 10, I think I'm a little behind his range, but I'm getting pretty desperate, so I am going to go ahead and jam it. With jacks here, I'm going to go ahead and raise on the button. Hopefully someone shoves on me. Wow, that guy actually folded, so I guess ace 10 was ahead of his range by a little bit. I was wrong there. Alright, so we jam ace 10, we get called by fives, we flop the nuts, and it holds up. So that worked out. Ace 9, I'll shove there, blind on blind. Alright, this guy's going to be stealing a lot here. You know, I think ace jack is too good to fold here. I'm going to shove it in on him. Ace 10, I think, is a little behind his range, so I'm going to fold. He's got close to 10 big blinds, and he's raising all in from early position, so that's why I would estimate that I'm slightly behind his range. And here it looks like he folded. He's a good player. I've talked to him before, and he he's since he is a good player, he's going to be stealing there a lot because he's one of the big stacks, and he knows the short stacks are going to be trying to hang on to make the money. So since I know he's stealing there a lot, I'm going to shove ace jack there, knowing it's far ahead of his range. Alright, with ace 5 here, I'm going to fold. Alright, now we have ace king. This opponent doesn't 3-bet very often, so he's not going to do it as a bluff. So I'm just going to go ahead and shove on him. Alright, we have a limper. So ace 10 is going to be ahead of a limping range. So I'm going to go ahead and shove it as a big time short stack. Pocket fives I'll raise on the button. And ace queen I raise. Alright, we got called with the fives. It's a good flop to c-bet. I'm going to bet 1200 into the 2000 pot. I did get called by ace 8, which is nice. Alright, we get min check raised. And here we hit our ace. I'm going to c-bet. This min check raise I don't like, so I'm going to fold it. Here with jack 3 offsuit. This guy's a pretty tight player, it looks like, so I am going to go ahead and shove it. I'm going to shove 8s here also on the same player who limped ace 5, or excuse me, ace 8. Here for the min raise, again, I'm going to go ahead and call with jack 10. Alright, king, queen, I'll make a raise at it. I raise to 450 at the 200 big blind level. Alright, we get 3-bet by a player who doesn't 3-bet very often, so I have to give him credit here. I'm going to fold the 9-8. Okay, we have a steal attempt from late position, and we have king jack in the big blind. He steals 28% of the time, so you know it's tempting to shove here, but I'm just going to fold. Here I'm going to shove with the ace high, blind on blind. I could call there the 1200 more, but then I'm playing a hand again that's going to miss 2/3 of the time, and I'm out of position. Here with pocket aces, I'm going to put this guy all in, and ace 9 early position, I have 10 big blinds. I'm just going to let it go. Here with pocket sevens, I think I'm going to shove. This guy's he's raising 17%. It's short-handed tables, so he's probably going to be pretty aggressive there. So I think sevens were slightly ahead of his range, and he did fold, so that's nice. Alright, queen deuce is a fold. Alright, looks like I took out that guy with the aces also. I didn't see the flop or anything, but I think that's the table. Okay, with the 4-3 here, I'm just going to let that one go. Alright, we can push this guy around a bit because we're before the money and there's some short stacks at the table and he has less than 10 big blinds, so I'm going to shove in on him with jack 6 offsuit. Here I think this guy's got a pretty wide range for shoving because he has I'm just going to fold that anyways. Well, he is a pretty tight player. You know, I'm going to let it go because he is so tight. And here, I could 3-bet small, but I think he's going to call that often. And I'm just going to shove it in with ace-king. If it's less than 10 times his bet size, I think it's an okay play just to shove as a 3-bet size. I did run into aces, but there's nothing you can do about that. I think I still made the right play. Okay, so we're nearing the bubble on both of these final tables. We're down to 8 players, and the top 6 get paid. So with these 45 player sit and goes, the bubble is quite important because it's a 2 buy-in bubble. Most multi-table tournaments have, it's your uh, the bubble is only for like a buy-in and a little bit over the buy-in. Here with ace three, it's a little, it's pretty close. I could shove or fold or raise normal. I'm just gonna fold it. Same thing here. To risk my entire tournament to steal the blinds there, it's pretty close. If the kicker was a little higher, I definitely would, but it's just going to be dominated so often when you get called by pairs that are higher and ace X higher than a 3. So it's like even if you get called by king queen, you're still only like about a 60% favorite. Alright, so here with 10-8 suited, I will shove that with less than 10 big blinds. Gonna fold here again. Okay, I'm pretty desperate on this table, but I do have to fold the 3 deuce offsuit. Alright, with pocket nines, wow. This guy's shoving under the gun, so we know he's got to have a pretty good hand. He only raises 5% of his hands. Pocket nines here is actually pretty close to a fold. I think he's going to be shoving smaller pairs though, so I think I do have to call. Alright, he's shoving king 10. Alright, with queen king here, I think I'm going to call. Alright, I won the coin flip there, so that one worked out. Okay, and I won that coin flip as well, so um, we're now down to um, one more until the money. We just made another final table as well. So here with king 10, we're on the bubble on this $26 one as well. King 10, I think I'm going to have to fold there. Ace deuce is a fold. Here I will c-bet. And I'm going to be probably calling an all-in if he shoves all in here, even though I have a 3 kicker. A lot of hands he would do that with as a bluff and as a semi-bluff and with a draw. So here I have 10 big blinds and I'm going to shove the ace-jack on the button. Pretty standard. Looks like I did get called by jack 6, which is nice. Alright, so we made the money in this one. We have less than 10 big blinds, king 4 suited. You know what? I'm going to let it go. Here I think I have to shove pretty much any 2 cards. And here I will make a raise attempt, a steal attempt. Alright, so we got a lot of action going. We just made another final table, so a lot of action. Here with 5-7 suited, I'm going to go ahead and shove it with less than 10 big blinds on the button. Alright, suited ace. I don't like the stacks in the blinds. They're going to be shoving, looking to gamble, so I'm going to fold that there actually. Okay, I'm going to fold the king 6 also. I do need to get it in here soon because I have a pretty short stack in relationship to the blinds. Alright, so we got 4 final tables going on. We're got a couple other ones that were close to the final table, so this looks like it might be a pretty good session. And you guys obviously got to saw some good plays, hopefully, in your opinion. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and attempt to steal the blinds here with ace-6 suited. Alright, with ace-10 suited, I'm going to be far ahead of his button range, so I'm going to call here. He's only got 5 big blinds. And he does have jack-9. And it held up, so we're in the money on that one. Alright, we flop a flush draw here. And it's a good flop to c-bet, so I'm actually going to overbet to commit myself to this hand and make it look like to my opponent he cannot bluff me off this hand. So I don't overbet very often, but I think that would be a good spot for it. Alright, my opponent did fold, so I got the desired result. And it's a risky play because I could be getting it in with only about a 30% equity if he has like ace queen or whatever on that flop. So you know, he's not going to have a hand very often on that flop though, especially with me having 2 hearts. There's no other draws, so I do like that play and I use it occasionally. And I don't always use it with a draw also. Sometimes I will overbet a big hand. Um, Here, this is a tight player. He is stealing from the button, but I don't want to shove all in here with queen high. I got enough chips to wait. I still got 10 big blinds and can wait a little bit longer. Here with ace-6, I think it's going to be dominated too much, so I'm going to fold there. Alright, I have a suited connector. I'm going to go ahead and raise to commit myself. Alright, so I'm going to be getting it in here with the suited connector. I am dominated, unfortunately, by ace-4. I'm surprised he called there with ace-4, but I guess it was a good read on his part. I will happily take people calling there with ace-4 all day. So we got 6th on that one. Alright, so here we're the big stack. This is a $75 one. So I think we should definitely pay a little more attention to this one. With the raise and this all-in, I think ace-jack shrivels up. It's not going to be good here very often, so I'm going to fold. I'm going to go ahead and attempt to steal the blinds here. You know what? I take that back. We're still on the bubble, and the big stack is in the big blind, so I'm not going to do that. Abort mission there. Here I'm going to put this guy all in because it's a knockout tournament, and my hand is connected and suited and all that good stuff. So here I'll fold 10-4 because he's going to be calling quite often with his short stack. And high 3-bet percentage, medium 3-bet percentage. I'm just going to fold the 9-8. I timed out there. I would have shoved any 2 cards, so that was a mistake on my part for timing out there. So here with 4 deuce, you got to shove any 2 cards there. Jack 8 here I'm going to fold because me and my opponent have 10 big blinds. It's a little much to be pushing Jack 8 there. Here I'm going to make a normal size steal attempt and hopefully get some action with 10s. Pocket 6s here with the min raise and a call. I'm just going to let it go. I think it's pretty marginal. I don't have odds to hit a set, and there's going to be overcards on so many boards. It's going to be tough to continue. So just let it go pre-flop. Alright, everything is on break now, so I'm going to pause the video. Alright, 9-10 here. This is pretty close, actually, to a shove. With the big blind coming to me next, I am going to go ahead and shove it. It was pretty close. I had to think about it for a minute because it's hard to estimate sometimes, how if it's profitable or not. Here, I think this guy's going to be ahead of me quite often. It's about half my stack to call here, so I don't know. Ace 8, this is pretty close again. He has a low 3-bet percentage, so I'm going to give him credit here. I'm going to fold it. Alright, and it looks like we did get knocked out with the 10-9. We were dominated, so that happens. Again, I have a garbage hand, and he's going to be calling. With this other short stack in with 2200, though, I am going to put him all in because he does want to move up to the next level. So, this is not a great flop to c-bet. I do have a gut shot, though. I'm going to check it and see what he does. Here I have less than 10 big blinds. I'm going to make a normal raise, though, because there are some short stacks at the table that might do something stupid. Here is a chance to 3-bet all in against a person who attempts to steal 38% of the time. And I'm timing out on tables, which is not good. I'm going to c-bet here. And I'm just going to check it down there. Call the min raise from the small blind. And I got knocked out. Ran into kings there, which obviously is not good for me, but when you play an aggressive style, that happens sometimes. My opponent c-bets here a high percentage of the time. I'm just going to shove it here with my top pair. And calling there. I'm going to go ahead and shove fours here. I actually think that ace high might be good here if he has jack 10 or 8-7, any type of draw hand. For 3,000 chips, I'm going to go ahead and look him up. He did have jack 10, so that one worked out for me. Alright, my opponent's checked twice on this board, so I'm going to go ahead and bet now. And I'm going to, again, attempt to steal the blinds here with king 10. Alright, I'm just going to put this guy all in with queen 8 here. Pocket queens, I'm going to make a normal raise. And he folded, so I was looking for him to shove. Oh well. Here we have ace queen on the button. We have obviously more than 10 big blinds, and so does A in the B. So I'm going to make a standard raise, and hopefully one of these players 3-bets me, and we can get it in good. Alright, here we have 2,600 to call, a pot of 5,600. So we're getting better than 2-1 on our money. We have a connected hand, and he is very desperate to get it in here with the big blind coming, so I think I'm going to call. Alright, and we did manage to win the roughly probably about 60-40 in his favor. I wasn't calling there because I thought I had the best hand. I was calling because the odds that I was given and the fact of how wide his range was going to be. Here with ace jack suited, I'm just going to call. I don't want to 3-bet and force out hands that I have dominated. Alright, we get a pretty good flop for us. We flopped a nut flush draw with overcards, and we also have backdoor straight uh, potential. So with his call, I'm just going to shove it all in here and play a big pot. Alright, so we got overcards in the flush draw all live, and none of them get there. So, wow. Here I'm going to go ahead and raise this after the limper. That's unfortunate. I would estimate I was at least 50% there to win that. Here with the $75 one, we have the big stack. We're down to 3 players. Um, we obviously want to get rid of the short stack and get down to heads up. This one is a $75 one as well. He's raising pretty large and he's a tight player, so I'm not going to make a play there. Okay, I'm just going to check here with the 8-4. Here with Jack 6, I'm just going to fold. We get a pretty good flop. We have a double belly buster, so with this type of flop, I'm actually just going to jam it. Because with that flop, the big blind could connect with that flop very easily, because the big blind is being dealt any 2 random cards, and usually since they check, it's smaller cards, so he can put me on small cards there very easily. I got it in with a huge edge there, but didn't work out. I'm going to fold to 3-4. Here with pocket 3s, my opponent limped. It's kind of an overshove, but I think I can kind of bully him out because there is the shorter stack still in, and he wants to get down to heads up, so I think I can kind of force him out there the majority of the time. And I will go ahead and raise with the 8-7 suited there. Alright, 3-8 I will fold. Alright, I'm pretty desperate here. 10-9 again. I'm just going to shove it here. Alright, again, my opponent limps again, so I'm going to continue being a bully with King Jack. Alright, obviously Kartstram doesn't understand that I know he has to wait for a good hand to do that, to call with, and he's not going to be limping the small blind very often with a very good hand to call with. And with the short stack in, he obviously doesn't understand that dynamic. So, all right, here with Queen 6, I'm going to let it go. All right, I know he's kind of wants to play a big pot with me, so I'm going to go obviously jam my ace queen here and have him snap call with the worst hand. And he's out of the tournament. So he can chat all he wants to, but the fact is I got it in good, and he's out. So here with 3-7 against the short stack, I've got to let it go. He has too many chips to risk it with 3-7 there. I'm just going to check here and check fold. Alright, King 9. Now this guy has seen that when someone limps into me, I raise all in a lot, so he could be doing this with a strong hand. So I'm going to check here. And I flop bottom pair in a gut shot and an overcard. It's a weak to mediocre flop for me. I'm going to check and probably call if he bets a reasonable amount. He full pots it, which usually when people do this, they have something that they want to force out any draws. So, it's kind of tough. It's the first hand of heads up. I don't want to make a big mistake here with bottom pair, so I'm just going to let it go. And again, with deuce four here, I'm just going to let it go. Pocket threes, I have a short stack here, so I'm going to shove it in. All right, my opponent min raises now, and I have king jack. This is going to be well ahead of his range, I'm assuming, so I'm going to go ahead and shove it in on him. All right, and it's a coin flip. All right, and that one went his way, so lost the coin flip, but we're still in the tournament. We just need to play solid poker. So now we both have more than 10 big blinds, so heads up, I'm going to be min raising when I have the button. Excuse me. I'm going to be min raising when I have the button. Now this is the second time he's limped, and I'm going to go ahead and raise it up. I want to force him to fold the majority of the time pre-flop here. And when the flop comes 6-6-3 here, I don't see any reason he would have a piece of this flop. So I'm going to go ahead and continuation bet. Um, you know, I'm just going to jam it in because he may try and raise bluff. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. I got a call here with fives. I haven't dominated. And he does fold. So he's not going to have a piece of that flop very often. So you can just basically force your opponent out the majority of the time there. All right, my opponent raises again. This time 3x, so I'm going to put in a 3-bet that hopefully he will shove on, which I deem to be, we'll go 12,800, sounds about right. And he does go ahead and re-raise, so we're getting it in with ace-queen here all day. Another coin flip, and hopefully this one goes my way. And it does, so we take down the tournament. So we got first place in that one. All right, here we're pretty desperate again. So 3-7 or 4-7 offsuit. I would shove any two cards here pretty much. 6-9. I'm not going to defend here. I haven't been paying attention much to the other tables because I was so wrapped up in the heads-up table, but. So here with King Jack, we definitely need to shove here, blind on blind. Okay, 4-7, I'm going to let go here. Alright, with ace-10 here, I'm going to make a standard raise. Alright, you can see we have an all-in and a suck-out, but that eliminates a player, so good for me, bad for him. Here again, with roughly about 10 big blinds, it's too many chips to shove 6-10 there. Queen 10 suited against a person who raises on the button quite often. I'm going to defend here and see a flop at least. Alright, and he is going to be c-betting this flop a lot, but the problem is when I just call pre-flop, he's not going to put me on an ace very often because if I had a good ace, I would have re-raised pre-flop, so I pretty much have to give up here. Alright, and here's our chance to get him back. He's raising on the button this time, and we have ace-jack, so it's all in time. King-queen suited here, I'm going to fold to the under-the-gun raise. Alright, we ran into kings again with ace jack, but this time we managed to suck out. So it goes both ways, I guess. Okay, we're in last place now, in fourth place on this table. Excuse me. So we do need to take chances because we are in last place, but we do still have roughly about 10 big blinds, so we're not real desperate, so we can still kind of wait for a good spot. So you got to be weighing all the factors at once. All right, when my opponent limps here, he is an aggressive player, so I'm just going to check here. A lot of times I would shove all in. Sometimes I check, sometimes I raise. I mix it up. This time I'm just going to check and give it up. If he continues to limp, if I see someone continue to do it, then I'm going to put him on a range of weak hands for limping there, and I'll start to exploit that. Here, it's pretty close, but since I am the short stack, I'm going to take the chance and push all in. This is a easy call with him only having 4 big blinds. He's going to be shoving, obviously, any 2 there. As you can see, is 5-3. This player is limping on the button. No, I'm just going to go ahead and limp as well from the small blind. I should say complete from the small blind is the correct term. And he pots it on this flop, so I'm just going to fold. Alright, we have another all in, and it looks like we have an elimination. So another suck out it looked like as well, which is fine by me. Because I was the short stack and I just moved up. As you can see, here a limper on the button. Um, I'm just gonna shove it in here. It's me versus him basically for second place, so I want to be aggressive with him. He limped and then called an all in with King 9 suited, which I don't like the play at all. But he happened to have me dominated, so it worked out for him that time. But to limp and then call an all in is not a good play usually, unless you're trapping your opponent. And you're definitely not trapping your opponent with King 9 suited, so I don't really like the play, but it worked out, as I said. So I got third place in that one. So we've cashed in a couple or a few of these now, and it's been a pretty good session. The video's coming to a close. I'm going to try and finish out both of these tables in a reasonable amount of time to keep the time on the video down. I'm going to go ahead and space these out better for you guys. Okay, so we have a raise from early position and a call from a loose player. Pocket queens, we definitely want to at least call. I'm thinking raise, and I'm thinking I might as well just raise all in. I do want action, but with this much already in the pot, 3,900 in the pot, I might as well just ship it in. And I'm obviously most worried about this player, Wayne Ageld, having a big hand, as I think the loose player has a very wide range here for calling. Pocket tens here, we have everyone is short stacked except for the big blind who has 8,000. So I'm going to re-raise this player. Committing him out for him. 4,200 is fine. He does attempt to steal 75%, so he's going to have a huge range here. And he picks up the best hand of all. which is fine because I'll spike my full house. Alright, so running good helps. And we pick up another pocket pair, and we're going to continue to be aggressive with them. I'm going to make it, let's see, he's short stacked. I wouldn't mind going all in with this player right now, pre-flop. I'm going to make it 2,700, a little over 4x, but I can still fold if one of these guys shoves on me. So I want to commit this guy, but be able to fold if one of these guys wakes up with a hand. This guy only has 2,300 left, so I'm calling no matter what. Alright, so he caught it straight on the river. That's fine. We would have been coin flipping had he shoved pre-flop, which I think he probably should have done, but I don't like calling there. I think he picked the worst option of calling. I think folding or shoving is has a higher expectation than calling there. Um, he got lucky to hit a miracle flop with the overcard, the nut flush draw, inside straight draw. I mean, he had a lot of outs there, but that flop isn't going to happen very often. So I think calling in the long run there would be the worst play. Okay, so we almost had the bubble finish there, but it's still going. We got 7 players, and with deuce 9 here, I'm going to fold to the under the gun raise. Okay, the short stack is all in, but we don't have a good enough hand to call with. Okay, we have another short stack pushing, but again, king 3 suited is not good enough. Here with king or queen jack, the short stacks and the blinds are going to be willing to gamble quite often here. Um, yeah, I'm just going to fold it. Ace deuce. I'm going to go ahead and attempt to steal the blinds here. Alright, queen 10. The short stacks here, again, I think they're going to be shoved, especially this guy from the small blinds, going to be shoving pretty wide. So I just stole the previous hand, so I think it's best just to fold there. It's pretty close. It might be plus EV to attempt to steal there, but you're going to get shoved on, and you're probably going to have the odds to call against this guy, and it's just not a fun spot. With 8 high here, excuse me again, I just got to fold. With this guy having less chips than Waynegeld, he's got to have a pretty strong hand here to, not like super strong, but like ace 10, ace jack to shove there, I would imagine. And I'm just going to fold here. Alright, we got Cowboys on the button. Always nice. And we have a shove in front. Alright, we could call or we could raise all in to isolate. And since we're on the bubble, it's going to look like if I call that I just want to call and check it down with my opponent. If I raise to isolate, I might force out a worse hand. So I'm going to call here and hope one of these players calls as well. Alright, and we have him in very bad shape. With my kings against king queens, got it in very good there. Here with pocket tens, the player's all in. Not much in the side pot. I'm just going to check here and see what my opponent does on the turn. He checks again. I don't like to give a free card here, but I am going to bet here because it's very unlikely he's checked an ace twice. Alright, with the flush coming in and the 7 pairing, there's even more hands that beat me now, so I'm just going to check it. Alright, I did have the side pot with my opponent having a gut shot draw. I don't like his call at all with a gut shot. He did have an overcard to me, but he didn't know that at the time. Alright, we have a loose player limping in. I can represent a lot of hands like on this flop with the ace high flop by raising pre-flop. So if he checks to me, I'm definitely going to bet. If he bets, I'm going to raise because if he had a good ace, he would have raised it pre-flop most likely. So I'm putting in a small raise. And if he shoves on me, obviously I have to fold, but I think it's going to be a winning play in the long run. Alright, and with the short stack in the big blind, I have an ace. I just jam it in on him. Alright, and you can see the loose player did fold to my small raise. Here, I have a huge stack, and these guys are just trying to hang on to make the money, I get the feeling, so I'm going to kick up the aggression and push them all in. Same thing here. I'm not putting them all in, but I'm going to attempt to steal his blind. I meant to make that 2,000. That was a misclick. With deuce 10 here, I'm just going to let it go. We have a short stack in the big blind who's going to be willing to gamble with a lot of hands. Alright, and you can see the short stack did call with queen 9 offsuit, so as I mentioned before, the short stacks, when you're short stacked or your opponent is short stacked, you got to pay attention to that because it's going to widen the range of hands that they're willing to play. So here I'm going to make a standard raise. These guys don't 3-bet very often, so I'm just going to push them all in because neither one of them, well, they all have, this player has a little over 10 big blinds, but it's going to be plus EV for me to shove here with ace jack. If I make a normal raise and they call, obviously I'm going to miss the flop the majority of the time. I don't like this call with sixes. I'm not shoving 10 big blinds there with him with weak hands there. So with sixes, he's basically hoping for a coin flip, and that's what he got, and he finished in 6th place. So it's one thing to be the one pushing all in with sixes, but to be the one calling an all in with it is a different story. When you're calling an all in, you have zero fold equity. So that's why I don't like that play. Um, if if he if I would have been dealt pocket sixes there, I probably would have did pretty close. Well, I probably would have shoved there. I can't say for sure, but um, that's about the bottom of my range that I would shove with there. But he wasn't. He had zero fold equity, so obviously it's a different story when you're calling. That's why the old saying is it takes a better hand to shove or to call an all in with than to shove all in yourself. I'm just going to check my option here with King 10 offsuit. All right, we have a min raise from the what I perceive to be the weakest player at the table. I'm going to call that because I have position and a hand that is connected. Terrible flop for me, so I'm just going to let it go. All right, everyone checked on this flop. Um, Somebody could be slow playing, so I'm just going to check it. And I'm just going to fold. Okay, so we had the coin flip there. Um, wasn't sure how that hand played out. Want to see. Okay, so he raised half his stack with pocket threes there. If I was in his position, I would have just raised all in. Um, it, you pick up more fold equity. It's not like you're looking for a call with pocket threes there. You want people to fold. So if I were in his shoes there, I would have just shoved all in and maximized the fold equity. Here we have two short stacks, so they only have 5 big blinds. So I'm just gonna put them all in. Just fold the ace-6 there. All right, again, this player does have 12 big blinds, but again, this is about the bottom of the range I will do this with, but I'm going to go ahead and shove in here. All right, well, the player to my right won that, which is nice for me because it knocks a player out and it puts chips on my right. Okay, he limps in again, and we have. I'm kind of testing out here how much he's willing to call. Last time I raised a little less than this, so I want to see how much he's willing to call here. All right, he does call. An ace flops again, and a queen, which I have. I can't really be too worried about him having an ace here. There's 8,000 in the pot, and he has 15,000. If I bet, if I make a C bet and he shoves on me, I think I'd be pretty committed to calling. So I might as well just shove him in myself, since I'm committed to call that. And I also send the message to him that when he limps, he shouldn't be calling my bets unless he wants to lose chips, obviously. All right, so we just lost here when we got it in good, but that happens blind on blind. He had to call there with ace two. I like his play. There's no other choice for him. Okay, again, we have people with far less than 10 big blinds. We have a suited ace, so I'm shoving. King 10 or Jack 10 here on the button. With my opponents having such short stacks, only 12 and 14 blinds, it's not the type of hand that we're not in a position here to be seeing flops really. It's pretty much shove or fold at this point with only with around 10 big blinds or 12 big blinds. It's there's no room for post flop play, so I could call there with Jack 10 and try and see a flop, but it's just you're risking such a high percentage of your opponent's stack that it doesn't leave much room for post flop play. All right, I'm just gonna check this time here. All right, this opponent I think is gonna be limping very weak hands here, and he does want to move up spots, so I think this is a spot where I can get him to fold by shoving. And again, my hand is suited and it can make a straight, suited and connected. So against his calling range of a lot of ace high hands and king queen and stuff like that, it plays well because I have two live cards that are suited and can make a straight. I'm gonna fold queen three here. All right, so we did take that down. It's always nice when you have a player like this deep in a $75 tournament and he's sitting on my right. It's just a real nice source for chips. And hopefully he can win this one as well. All right, so we're down to three players now, and we have a dominating chip lead. Um, King 6 here. This player is going to be willing to gamble with a lot of hands now, so I'm going to dump King 6. All right, any ace here with this player being so short stacked, I'm going to be putting them all in with. All right, we got a coin flip. We got a very nice flop in turn. So pretty much a gin flop in turn. All right, so now we're heads up with the player that I would love to play heads up with. 3-7 here. I'm going to fold. We are. He has slightly more than 10 big blinds, so I'm going to be looking to play a little bit of post flop poker with him. I'm not going to be shoving all in as my pre flop raise. I will min raise with him, and with this type of player, sometimes even like with 8 big blinds, I'll still min raise because I feel I have such an edge on him. I don't want to play a pre flop game. Although with him limping here and I have ace 9, this is too good to just check. So I'm going to put them all in here. All right, he calls with 4, so we have a coin flip again. All right, he won the coin flip. Um, so back to grinding against him. Here, again, I'm just going to be min raising. This player is limped 3 times now, so I'm going to shove on him. And he was trapping me there with queen 9. It happens. All right, pocket queens here. I'm going to re-raise. This guy doesn't like to seem to fold, so I'm going to re-raise him kind of big. But yeah, I still want to call here. All right, he shoves, so that's good. We got him dominated, so hopefully this can hold up. All right, and it does. So now we got him ultra short stack. He with 9-10 here, I think is good enough to go ahead and shove. With him being very short stack, pocket 9s here, I have to call. So it looks like this video may be wrapping up soon. Um, if you guys have any ideas for videos, go ahead and leave them in the forums. Jack 4 again, he's folding here, so he's making some big mistakes at the end. Such a high percentage of a stack. He's got to be calling some of these. So we're basically whittling him down, and hopefully he pushes here, and we have ace high. He picked up a better ace, so split the pot. 7-4, I'm going to fold because he's so committed to calling with such few chips. 7 high is not going to... It's pretty close. I could shove possibly there. Here, 6-8 is good enough to put him all in with. Alright, so we took down the tournament. Our second one of the video. Um, if you guys, again, have any questions or comments, leave it in the forums. This is Pimpin' Docs. See you at the tables.